Association. Bobby General Bob McDonnell and I are very, very pleased to be here on behalf of Bill Brady. Y'all got a spectacular candidate for governor who's going to do Illinois proud, starting January. A handful of you may be old enough to remember that in 1994 I was the chairman of the Republican National Committee. That year Republicans took back control of the House and the Senate for the first time in 40 years. We went from 17 Republican governors to 31. Time magazine said it was the greatest midterm majority sweep of the 20th century. And I like to say, as a boy from Yazoo City, Mississippi, that's pretty heady stuff. And I'm proud of it. But I want to make one point to you, and very clearly. The election of 2010 is a more important election than the election of 1994. We never had an administration in our country like the Obama administration, which along with the Pelosi-Reed Congress has taken the biggest lurch to the left in American political history. A spending spree that gives drunken sailors a bad name. Spending in the trillions. I was in the Reagan White House in the 1980s. Spending the trillions was unimaginable. Today we have a deficit of $1.3 trillion. In those days, the whole budget was about that big. 1.5 trillion one year under Obama, 1.3, 1.4 trillion next year. They expect to increase the federal debt by $10 trillion in 8 years. Who's going to pay that back? I'll tell you who's going to pay it back. Our children and grandchildren are going to pay it back if we let it happen. And we're here because we're not going to let it happen. For all the spending of the Obama administration and the incredible increase in the national debt, these deficits, the planned tax increases they have for January, where they have not voted to keep the Bush tax cuts in place, which means trillions of dollars of tax increases in the next 10 years. Taxes, spending, I mean, Obama must have learned this from Pat Quinn. He's the only governor I know running for re-election on the platform of raising the income tax by a third. Everybody in favor of raising the income tax by a third? Go ahead and get it. That's why this year is such an important election. Because the stakes are so high in Illinois and all over America. And I promise you, we're not going to wait to 2012 to start taking our country back. We're going to start here, now, and Illinois. Before I introduce a great friend, I want to make one other point to you. I'm from Mississippi, as Cisco said. Cisco, thanks for doing this. My fellow Mississippian Fred Smith, the founder and CEO of FedEx, has a saying that's one of my favorite sayings. Fred says, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. We can't let anything get our eye off the ball between now and Tuesday. We can't have any distractions. We got to be totally and fully focused on electing Bill Brady and Mark Kirk and a whole list of other Republicans here in Illinois. And what does that mean? What does that mean? I want to remind you that despite all the technology and the television and the internet, still today in America, the most powerful weapon in politics is when you say to someone who respects you, I'm voting for Bill Brady. Here's why, and I wish you would too. Now that's more powerful than any TV spot. It's more powerful than any ad in the newspaper or any letter in the mailbox. When you say to somebody who respects you, I'm going to vote for Bill Brady. Here's why, and I wish you would too. That's what we need you doing for the next 6 days. Talking to your friends and your family. Don't take your family for granted. Talking to the people you work with, the people you work for, the people who work for you, your vendors, your customers. Talk to the people your children go to school with, people you go to the ball game with. Talk to the people you go to church with. You know, in America, people who go to church on Sunday go to vote on Tuesday. And we need to make sure that you talk to every one of those friends, and you're still talking to them at this time on Tuesday night till the polls close. If you do that, we're going to have a great victory in Illinois, in America. That's going to start right here in Will County. And it's going to start with elected Bill Brady. I'm glad to play a little part in that. And to bring with me 2 great guys, one of whom I'm going to introduce, the outstanding governor of Louisiana. Like other Republican governors, has cut spending, has cut taxes, has got his state back on the right track after a crisis of confidence in that state. A great leader, and just one more example of a Republican actually doing what Bill Brady talks about and will do. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Bobby Jones.
The genius of America lies in our people, not our elected officials. And let me tell you, this election is about a clear choice. On our side, we've got a candidate that understands you've got to cut spending, cut taxes, create jobs in the private sector. On the other side, you've got a candidate that believes bigger government is the answer to all of our problems. Let me share with you a story that shows you why we don't need bigger, more expensive government. Many of you know my state's been through some challenges recently. Been through 4 hurricanes and an oil spill. People always ask me, is Louisiana going to be okay? I'm here to tell you, not only are we going to be okay, we're going to be better than we were before the spill and before the hurricane. What gives me the confidence to tell you that is not our government in Baton Rouge or our government in D.C., it is our people. We have the best, most generous, most resilient people in America that you'll find anywhere in the entire world. Let me tell you, after that oil spill threatened our way of life, it sat on our coast for days and weeks. Our people began to get frustrated. Nothing was being done to prevent that oil from eating away our weapons. Now, we may not be the smartest people in the world. I don't have a Nobel Prize. We don't all have PhDs. What we do have is we've got